Hi, my name is William and I'm from the Allswealth team. Today, I'm going to be taking you through creating and following your own financial plan. The first thing you will do in the tutorial is go through the Wealth Mentality Survey. Now, its purpose is to determine your relationship with money and how much risk you're willing to take. I'm just going to go through these quickly for the sake of time, but you should consider each question seriously. This will inform a few things like how much of an emergency fund we will recommend, and will set an expectation for how you will be investing your money. Now, we don't provide investment advice, but we will be telling you to invest your money, and we expect the level of risk you are willing to take to be reflected in your investment strategy. Now it's time to decide if you'd like to connect a bank account to Allswealth or not. It comes down to how comfortable you are with connecting a bank account to our product. Now, you can use the product completely manually, but there are going to be a few drawbacks, like you're going to have to create your income, expenses, assets, and liabilities completely manually. Let's connect our first bank account. So we use a product called Plaid to manage bank account connections for us. So the only thing we end up storing on our end is account balances and transactions. So your information is perfectly secure. I just skipped over adding that bank information just to protect it, but once it has been added and everything's loaded properly, you're going to be presented with this table. Let's move on to the income and expenses section. After pulling your bank data, Allswealth will leverage the data to build out various income and expense categories. The most important part is the totals though. If they don't look accurate for whatever reason, you can edit and customize each item. And next up is the assets and liabilities. So similar to before, this shows the data that we acquired from your bank accounts. If anything looks off or we are missing an asset or a liability, you can add it manually here. Now, with that out of the way, we're on to the additional information section. This piece is a way for the Allswealth engine to ask you questions about your financial plan. This will not only occur during the tutorial, but can also happen at any time if the engine is missing a piece of information or there's some other time-related question that's required. Now for the fun part, creating your financial goals. This tutorial will force you to start with creating your retirement goal first, but you'll be able to create any financial goal you want after. And we're not going to cover the creation of these in this tutorial. The goal creation process is designed to guide you through what you may want to be considering when tackling it. It's not simply an amount and a due date. This section will only occur during the tutorial and is here to introduce you to the feasibility analysis widget. The purpose of the widget is to give you an understanding of how the creation of this particular goal will impact your day-to-day life by illustrating its impact on your budget and how much you need to reduce your expenses and how much you need to save on a monthly basis. The purple area represents how much you need to save each month on average in order to succeed in your goals. The teal area represents your current average expenses. The gray area, if there is any, represents how much money is not currently allocated to either savings or expenses. If you are in this position, you can afford to be more aggressive with your goals since you do have the bandwidth. The red area means that you will need to reduce your average monthly expenses by that amount in order to save enough money to succeed in your goals. So be careful here, as if you continuously push your goals, this area will grow, and you need to make sure that you're comfortable with reducing those expenses each month in order to succeed. So as you're configuring your goals, just keep track of what's going on with the widget, and you should have a good idea of how that's going to impact your day-to-day life. Let's get back to configuring the retirement goal, starting with when you and your spouse, if any, want to retire and what your life expectancy is. As you change the inputs, you'll notice that there's an immediate impact on the feasibility widget that's there to guide you in that decision. So always keep track of that. Let's move on to your retirement expenses. This is a large decision, as it will determine your quality of life in retirement and how much you need to save to get there. We automatically remove things like debt payments from the expense total, since we don't consider that part of your quality of life, not to mention that we're going to try our best to pay that off before retirement. On average, people see a reduction of about 20% in expenses during retirement, but that very much depends on what you're looking for out of your retirement and what your current expenses are. If you're unsure, leaving it 100% is a good start until you take the time to consider exactly how much money you are looking to spend in retirement. Last part of the retirement goal is the estate, or how much you'd like to leave behind for your family. You can add any amount you'd like here, and the engine will tell you if this makes sense after the goal is saved. And that's it for your retirement goal. You can review certain statistics about your decisions before you proceed, such as how much in savings you will need to retire, and in this situation, it is almost $2 million. Also note that the decisions you've made are not set in stone. You can always edit your goals at any time to any different scenario to see how they would play out. So for example, you can try retiring a bit earlier. So like right now, I set it to 65, but you could try retiring at 60 or even 55 and see how that impacts your plan. With the first goal done, you will now be allowed to add any other goal you'd like before continuing. You will also be given up to 3 goals automatically depending on your situation, like paying off debt, building an emergency fund, and saving for your future taxes. I've also added a goal to buy a house, but I'm not going to go over that in this tutorial. You can see a little prompt at the bottom of the screen asking you to save any unsaved changes. This exists since the Allswealth engine does take up to several minutes to build your financial plan, depending on its complexity. Therefore, making any changes you want before the initial save and recreation of the plan will save you from having to recreate the plan multiple times in a row. At this point, your plan is done. All that's left is to understand how to follow the plan we've built for you. The main tools to keep you on track are the budget, transfers, and recommended actions, which we will outline. The transfers are a list of monthly asset allocation that the engine has determined to be your optimal moves in order to succeed. They'll be primarily based on your monthly income, but sometimes there can be lateral moves between assets, like moving money from a lower interest rate line of credit to a higher one. Once a month, whenever you're paying your bills or allocating your income, you should log into Allswealth to complete your recommended transfers. You can also get more information about each transfer by clicking on the details. You will see where we're expecting the money to be coming from, the goals it might be impacting, how much is simply paying off interest, and if any benefits are earned, like CSG or a tax deductible. In order to have enough money to complete all of your recommended transfers, the engine has determined the amount you will need to save per month and presents it to you in the budget widget. It also tracks your expenses daily if you connected a bank account to help you hit that savings target. If you click on the budget widget, you'll be taken to a page with a lot more information about it. You will see a graph which will track your expenses as they come in throughout the month, as well as a few hard lines that you shouldn't cross in order to respect your savings target. And below, you will see every transaction that's accumulating throughout the month in order of date, and you can also sort them by category. Lastly, the recommended actions is a list of anything else that you should do for your financial plan. It can contain items like obtaining a different asset type that you might be missing, such as an RSP or a TFSA, or even recommending a spousal RSP, or telling you when to start leveraging certain things like an OAS, GIS, CPP, QPP, or when to convert your RSP to a RIF. And these are often a bit longer form in nature, but you should take them as soon as you can if they show up in this list. And that's it. Your financial plan is complete and you know how to follow it. But if you have any other questions, you can always message us either directly in the app, through social media, or by email. Now let's go to the dashboard. All of the tools to track and succeed in your financial plan that we've covered in the tutorial are easily accessible here, as well as your ability to see your goals at a glance. And there's even some additional statistics that you can see at the bottom, and there's plenty more of that throughout the app, but we're not going to cover those today. There's one last thing I want to show you before we leave, and that's the knowledge and analysis section. Now, these are a set of articles that we've designed to kind of dig deeper into what the algorithm is doing with your financial plan. Let's look at one of those articles, the How is Your Financial Plan Created one. Now, you'll get one custom made just for your plan that goes over a few things, such as your assets and liabilities, income, expenses, and all the kind of decisions that the algorithm and the engine are doing to build your plan. So for example, if we look at the assets and liabilities, you can see how we're projecting that your assets and liabilities are going to do throughout your life. Next up is the income and expenses. And here you can see how we're expecting your salary to grow over the years, as well as how you're going to be leveraging your assets and benefits in retirement. As well, for your expenses, you can see how we're expecting your expenses to grow over the years, as well as how much you're going to pay in taxes, not only now, but in retirement. The engine is designed to make all these decisions on a monthly basis, so the data is also stored that way, and you can explore it in that fashion as well. So clicking on any of those columns will break it down into a month, and below that you can see each category for income and expenses, and you can toggle them on or off as well. Now, the last thing here is the additional details section. Now, this is very fine-grained detail into how the algorithm is making a lot of those decisions. So you can see breakdowns such as like your taxes for a given year, what we're expecting you to pay or receive, and any credit or benefit that you might be leveraging here. And now there's a ton of different things like how we're expecting your TFSA to grow, your RSP to grow, when we're expecting you to leverage your CPP, OAS, GIS, or even like here your retirement income, and where all those sources are being leveraged for this particular year. And the list kind of goes on. There's a lot of information here that you can explore if you're interested. And like even it goes so far down as going into the CPP survivor's benefit and when we're expecting you to leverage it because like in this situation, the spouse passed away. And that's really it. The last thing here is the numerical constants, and that's more for sake of transparency and kind of explaining all the different things that are being considered for you when we're building your plan and all the numbers that kind of power the engine. Now, and that's it. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to contact us at any of our methods, either be it social media, through the app, via email, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. It doesn't even have to be just about the app itself. It can be any financial question you like, because again, we are trying to give you a good financial plan. And if you have any questions, we will answer them as best as we can. Now, thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I hope this was informational and enjoyable, and I will try to get more of these to explore different parts of the app in the future. So until next time.